my name is Serena Parekh, and I'm a professor of philosophy at Northeastern University in Boston, in the United States. On November 9, 1989, I was a teenager living in Canada. My parents had recently come from India. And as a teenager in Canada, miles and miles away, I had only a glimpse of the significance of the fall of the wall. I saw the excitement in young people's faces and their hope for the future, yet I had no idea how much they had to overcome to get to that point. My research breaks the wall in understanding the depth of the global refugee crisis. My research begins with the observation that when most people think of the global refugee crisis, they're picturing it from their own point of view and thinking about what the crisis has meant for them. In the US, we're likely to be thinking about Central Americans on the US-Mexico border. If you're from Europe, you're likely to be thinking about the millions of people who fled Ukraine and arrived this winter in Poland, Hungary, and Germany. So from this perspective, the refugee crisis is first and foremost a crisis for us. How are we going to handle all these people? What does it mean for our economy, for our culture? I want to help people really understand what the crisis has meant for refugees themselves, what they have had to go through just to ask for refuge, and what kind of response they were likely to face. While many people understand to some extent why people were fleeing their homes, most people are totally unaware of what refugees experience as they seek refuge around the world. For the vast majority of refugees, the crisis is not merely that they are forced to flee their homes, but once they've left their home countries to ask for help, there is virtually no help available to them. Refugees have basically three options: refugee camps, urban slums, or dangerous journeys to seek asylum. And none of these are real options in the sense that they would be options that any one of us would be relieved to have if we were refugees. Now, couple this with the fact that if you become a refugee, you're likely to remain a refugee for a very long period of time. Not months, and likely not even years, but sometimes decades. I hope that once readers understand the real crisis for refugees is related to how we respond to and treat refugees, they would be more open to considering solutions. Now, I mentioned that refugees have three options: refugee camps, urban centers with very few rights, and dangerous journeys to seek asylum, and none of these provide the minimum conditions of human dignity. I want to stress that for most refugees, this is the global refugee crisis, that the vast majority of refugees remain in the global south in underfunded, insecure camps or urban squalor, while the rest take their chance on seeking asylum and have to risk torture, sexual assault, and death. This situation on a whole is what deserves our moral attentions and requires an ethical response. There are many questions that remain unanswered. One includes how we can best support refugees. But the question that keeps me up at night is how to persuade people that we have a responsibility to treat refugees better. And it's important to think of this not only in terms of all of the refugees who are currently in the world, but of the many, many others who are likely to become refugees because of climate change. My hope for the future is that we can live in a world where refugees can gain refuge and access the minimum conditions of human dignity.